Basically, when we found out about methanol, we wanted to, okay, there's a good opportunity, good market in Singapore, right? One of the largest shipping hub in Southeast Asia and also in the world. In fact, I think it is one of the largest bunkering port in the world. And we were looking for different kind of feedstock. We knew that municipal solid waste, there are heaps in Indonesia. Unfortunately, unlike Europe or Western nations, their wastes are of higher calorific value. Indonesia has more organic, right? Because there's more food there. So we wanted to look at different feedstocks. So we look at ISCC EU, which is again a European standards for, it stands for International Sustainability Certification, carbon certification.
Yeah.
So we look at their materials list. There was a whole bunch of lists, items, and one of it is Husk. So then let's try Husk. And where can we get the Husk from?
Welcome to the Indo-European Bridge. Selamat datang di Indo-European Bridge. Ein herzliches Willkommen an alle Zuhörer aus Europa. My name is Timo Scheffler. I'm from Germany, living in Indonesia, and I have made it my vision to connect these two worlds by fostering innovation and create win-win collaborations, as I believe these two regions have so much more potential. If you want to be part of this growing journey and make sure to never miss an episode, please hit the subscription button below. Let's enjoy today's episode. Really, many thanks, right, for joining today. The Indo-European Bridge. This is something very special because today will be the first podcast episode, really starting something new, and I'm super excited for that one. So thanks for joining. Yeah, thanks for your time and everything. Much appreciated once again. And so let's get started. I'm super excited. What's ahead, right, of us? And maybe let's start with a personal introduction. So for people who actually don't know you yet. So who is actually Wily?
All right, Timo. So I would say that the thank you is from me. Thank you for the invite and for making me the first of your many more videos and great successes to come. So let me first get that out of my chest.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Timo. So for those who don't know me, I've known Timo for a number of years now. We met in the gym. We met in Nafapak. So I have been in Indonesia for about 6 years now. Basically, I'm an Indonesian, studied abroad, came back, live in Nafapak, and I met Timo a couple years ago. So that's a very short introduction of who am I. In terms of academic or professionals, I'm a chemical engineer, graduated from the University of Melbourne and work in Australia. And then once I finished a project in Sydney, I came back into Indonesia, to Jakarta, back in late 2019, Timo. So that's a bit about me.
Okay, so thank you very much for sharing. So this is very interesting. And here would be actually already my first question, right? I just heard about it, or as we know already each other, so I know already, right, you lived abroad, so maybe you could also share a bit about that journey if you want, right, how actually this happened, that you took this path actually.
Sure. So I would say the first instance how I went abroad is basically my brother went abroad when a family friends, he sent his son to Singapore. So a couple of years late after my brother went to Singapore, I begged my mom. I basically begged my mom, can you let me go to Singapore as well? I really want to study, and I won't let you down. So that was back in 1999. At the time, we already paid we call it wang pangkal. It's like the entrance fee, right, to this secondary school where I was meant to continue my education from primary. So I begged my mom. She agreed. So she asked my dad, and then that was 1999. I came back when I was 32, so almost about 20 years later. So a long story, right? From 12 years old to 32, I came back to Indonesia.
Okay. I mean, this is really already impressive, really, right? This kind of journey, because many people dream of it for, like to say having this chance maybe once in a lifetime to live really abroad. And actually, you had this opportunity. So I really believe, right? Like you gain so many experiences, valuable experience, also in terms of culture and so on, of cultural understanding. So, and this is really, really impressive, like about that. And I can also imagine, right, like when you decided really after so many years coming back from abroad, right? Let's say from Australia. So, and the start was maybe not easy, of course. But let me ask maybe here one question first. Sure. So, what made actually the decision to say now after so many years, where many might say, okay, I have already adapted, fully adapted, right, to the environment and everything. So it is actually hard for me to return home.
You know, that question has a lot to do with culture, right? How to return home and how to readjust back to, I would say, your roots. But when I first went to Singapore, that's when I learned about, the English history of how Singapore was founded. And before, when I was in primary, when I was back in Indonesia, I know about, the Dutch having, I would say, quote unquote, colonized Indonesia for a few hundred years. So when I went abroad, to answer your question as well, is that I learned a lot of cultures when I went abroad, and that's where you get a lot of perspectives, a lot of life learnings, a lot of different views on how things gets done. And I think the most important thing in life for anyone to be successful is not that the it's not about survival of the fittest, but survival of the most adaptable. Okay. So coming back here, readjusting back to culture Indonesia is basically about human, about psychology, right? So our topic here, your channel is about Indo-Europe, and it's about relationship. Back from many hundred years ago, and how we can collaborate and get the achievements, be successful together. So I think this channel is good in the sense, in the lens of getting people from different cultures to come together, to come to Timo's channel to share their views and being able to share their successes, the challenges, the solutions. So coming back to Indonesia was not as difficult as many people think. But I think when you are young, getting the first gig or the first time out of your comfort zone, that will be the hardest, I would say. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, for myself, right, personally, yeah, living also abroad.
Mm.
So somehow you also, how to say, you also gain another culture or new culture, right?
Yep.
You totally change and so on. So there are, yeah, because of your environment and there are so many changes. So, and I also know actually from other foreigners living abroad, let's say for 10 years or even longer. So the longer you stay actually abroad, the more challenging it might be to return home. Also, for source, there are also cases I know that people return right to their home country, and let's say used to live in Asia, but then also try to move back to return them to Europe itself.
Mm.
But they could not handle it. They felt also like a so-called like a foreigner in their whole country.
Culture shock back again.
Exactly, a culture shock again.
Yeah.
So this can definitely happen. Yeah,
Mm.
that's why this is also something I would say really impressive. After so many years, you returned back to Indonesia. So here would be maybe also then my question, like what made you all, or why you have actually made a decision back then to return to Indonesia?
That question actually hits the core of, I would say, why I believe my true calling in life is, right? So why I came back. So before I answer that question, I would say that a lot of people ask me that question: why did you return? You have got, I am an Australian permanent resident. I've got two kids. They are Australian residents. Sorry, citizens. Australian citizens. And then my wife is also an Australian permanent resident. So a lot of people ask me, why did you want to go back? Isn't it always better there? Isn't always more beautiful, more everything there? And going back to what I mentioned earlier is about survival of the most adaptable, right? So that's one thing that I always hold dear close to my chest in everything that I do. And the reason why I came back here, probably I would say two, maybe three key aspects. Number one is to obviously return back the kindness and the support and basically to give back to my parents, right? So to help them so that they can have a better time in their old age. They can travel more. So we basically have a family business, toko bangunan, so retail construction materials. They open, I would say 6 days a week, 7 to 5. They don't have a lot of holidays. So that's one, helping my parents so they can have more free time. Right? And then number two is obviously business. So I want to do a few things in Indonesia. Basically, in the renewable energy space. Maybe we can talk about that a bit later. And number three, my wife would like me not to say this, but in some ways I want to be involved in politics and help more people. So those are the three things.
Okay. Oh, very, very interesting. Yeah, this journey, I really have to say. And so maybe a few more questions, right? Going to the family business, you're into it. So your dad has built up this business, yeah. So maybe also started from scratch back then, right, at the time. And now you are into this business, right? Supporting your family and the shop itself to grow maybe it further, right? Or what is actually your role there?
I would say helping my family's business would be a first step for me to get to where I want to be. So I want to have this, I would say, foundation so that I can work on this ultimate project that I would like to work on, right? So basically to get the team set up to be able to for a more structured management team for the business to run, because most toko bangunan or retail construction materials are conventional. They're run by the owners themselves. And I would say tens of thousands of toko bangunan around Indonesia are run and built that way. And only a handful can get out of that, I would say, that cycle. To break through, quote unquote, the middle income barrier, right? So then once once I think I'm close, and I think I'm getting there soon, right? Pretty close. And I want to work on on another project, like I said, on my company. This is a logo you can see on my chest here, KVA. So we are working on a project.
I interrupt
Sure,
you
sure.
one more time before we move to this, how to say, exciting, chapter, right, of our conversation today. So for the maybe one more time, right, back to your workshop, to the family business, right? So maybe also a bit about the products. I mean, workshop, right? So there might be some products also for construction and so on. But maybe could you give there some examples? Some examples. What is actually behind? That people can imagine, or someone never heard about it. What is it about?
It's very simple, Timo. It's basically like Home Depot or Bunnings Warehouse in Australia. So we basically sell, construction materials from cement, steel, plywood, paint, sunrise, like paintbrushes, right? Screws, electric tools, screwdrivers. So a lot of the things that you need to build a home. Well, apart from food and clothes, you need a home, right? Everybody needs a home. So it's one of the basic needs. So it actually is it's something that people need a lot. And I think this business should not be should not die off. So I want to make it continue while while I try to get this project off the ground.
Okay, so I mean, as far as I know, right? Also to add here, right? So construction is definitely something. This is a, how to say, booming industry or maybe a booming sector in Indonesia. So I could imagine there is a lot of potential, right, for a family business for the workshop itself. But maybe to also sum up this topic before switching now to your other exciting business you're into. Willie, so you might be maybe, can I say, you might be maybe more the one, or your role is in your family business, more like to say you're trying to bring in new technology, doing the restructuring, or how can I imagine that, or people can imagine that?
So probably the simplest way to imagine is if you come to one of these conventional shops, you'll meet the owner. They'll have a pen and a paper with, we call it kertas carbon. Have you seen one of those? Like you put this carbon paper between a few sheets of paper, so they write what you want, and then you got another few pieces of paper at the back, or for deliveries, for their own record, and one for you, right? So that's how it's been done. Now obviously people change and they digitalize it. So one of the things that we did is to digitalize it and have in stock inventory system and point of sale system. So that's one. Obviously all these systems won't be able to run on its own, right? I know AI can do a lot of things, and technology. Essentially we need to build a strong team with a good core values in the company, so that they can run and various functions of the company. Obviously with better structures.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So, maybe this would be also something, right, Willie? So, if people would be really interested or would like to explore your family business, the workshop, what is behind? So, maybe I think it could be also a good idea, right? We'll later the link, the website link and so on in the description also of today's episode. So, yeah, and also of course your contact details, so they will also reach out to you. Yeah, but coming now to your other how to say, your other business you are into India. So could you share a bit more about it, and maybe also how everything has started? Because many people might believe, really, right? Yeah. You're already in this family business. You might be already super busy, and then you have decided to even run your own business.
Yeah, so I would say, this is going to be maybe draw some controversies if some investors look at this, but basically, my commitment are basically to make sure the business runs right on its own, and then I will commit my time fully on this project, because the implications are not just for me but to the tens of thousands of farmers. Yeah, and to globalize, sorry, to global decarbonization, to maritime industry, to chemical industry. So it's a big dream of mine, and I'm keeping that dream alive, right? And I hope the people that I'm grooming in the family business can run it when the time comes, when I have to leave and spend 100% of my time at this or on this project. So to make the long story short, 2021 I started a company. It's called KVA. There's a meaning behind the company KVA. The company started with the goal to convert MSW, municipal solid waste, to power. So we call it PLTSA. So pembangkit listrik tenaga sampah. Basically waste to power. So that's how we started, and we basically I had a partner, a family's friend, wasn't really active, so I had to. Well, he left. We went separate ways. My father came as a commissioner, just just as a, I would say as a fill-in, and then in 2023 October, after many and this not been easy. It took years for me to get to where I am now, right? So it's been it takes years. Yeah. So in October 2023, around those times, I decided to drop. I would say not drop. I would say pivot away from municipal solid waste to power to coconut husk to methanol. So basically, producing sustainable fuel from second generation feedstock from agricultural waste. Yeah. So since August 2023, I've been very fortunate to have a friend of mine, a dear friend. I'm just gonna say his name is Nick. I won't say the full name. Nick. Nick has been helping me on this project, and it's been 2 years now, and we have made a lot of progress on this project.
Okay, great. I would like to have here, of course, because this is, you do something for renewable energy. So at the time, right, when everything has started in 2021, and you have decided maybe what could we do with the race? What was actually the reason behind to say, okay, um, we, I want to do some business. I want to run some business in that kind of field. Is it maybe you could share a bit, like to say, okay, for the waste, how is actually waste maybe handled in Indonesia? Yeah, what was the reason behind? I think this might be something interesting as well, right?
So basically, before I came back, I really wanted, I'm really interested in making something useful, making something useful from something that's been a waste or something that's been people thrown away, or thrown away or discarded. So that's why before I came back, I wanted to do this waste to power, right? And I would say because of the arrangements or the how things work in Indonesia in terms of how you get the waste and who you can sell the power is the project itself is challenging, let alone having to deal with I would say state-owned companies or government agencies. So I wanted to privatize the entire value chain. So that's why we are on this route at the moment. And to start something like this, you need to have a high level of persistency. Oh, sorry, persistence. Perseverance. Yeah, and you have to be very very persistent, and you have to be able to take rejections gracefully. Because I can tell you, there's like not one, not two, but many.
And let's come maybe one more time, right, sure, to the waste, right? How is actually the waste handled in Indonesia? Because that was the start of everything from your like, let's say, the foundation of the company you here started. I understood now the business has changed, right? Because of the business, but how is actually waste handled in Indonesia, right? Is there something like let's say, I can talk a bit about Germany, right? Recycling, there's a recycling system behind. There's also there are already lots of initiatives towards here circular economy and so on. So maybe could you share a bit more like how people can imagine how waste maybe or recycling is handled in Indonesia? Yeah, because this might be also a factor why you thought you want to convert, like maybe how to say generate from waste energy, right?
So that's an interesting question, Timo, and I apologize didn't answer it the first time. Basically, Indonesia. Let me just get this. Indonesia handles their waste. I wouldn't say as good as the European people. Not as good as Sweden. Not as good as Germany or Australia. So what they do is, you got waste, and then you got I would say the tukang or the pemulung. I would say the unofficial rubbish collector. They get it from your house or from your businesses. Then they go to a TPA, tempat pembuangan. Oh, not TPA, tempat TPS, tempat pembuangan sampah. And then you got those trucks. They will deliver it to TPA. And they didn't sort them out, so they just dump it on a landfill. So that's why we got all these issues, social, environmental issues. And I'm sure the however many years you've been here, you've heard about in Bali, in Yogyakarta, and recently in Tangerang. They just throw the waste, in the streets. They just covered it with tarpaulin, right? So that's how it's been. Okay, in short, they've been handling it poorly, and let alone agri waste. They just burn it. So if a corner house, they just burn it or toss it, because it's not in the metropolitan area, in the plantation. They just burn it. So it's such a waste, when we can use that for other things.
I think it is maybe not only, can I say that, not only about burning it, yeah. So it's also maybe a bit pollution might be also a factor, right? And because of that way how actually recycling or waste is actually handled, right? Or like when there are some floods, right? Of course, so this is also maybe because of recycling or maybe the waste, right? And yeah, maybe to sum up this kind of topic. But now coming back to your latest initiative of we are into, right? So I understood really, and of course, because we know each other already quite a while, right? So I know there are already some details, but for someone who doesn't know and what is behind what you're doing at the moment, so my understanding or maybe my keyword here be right, like you try really like from coconut husk, right? Which is also somehow waste normally from the coconut. You try to process this, right? Maybe and maybe you could explain or add here how it works there, right? Let's say you get from somewhere the coconuts, yep, and then how is it working?
Okay, so this is I can take many minutes, half an hour, a few hours.
Time and I think really right when it comes to this topic, and this is also something I believe many people have not heard about it, that including me, yeah, before I knew you, yeah. So that's why it is something excited, and yeah, it might be also something needed, right? When we talk about energy, renewable energy.
Sure. I'll try to give the audience and your audience, Timo, as much details as I can. So basically, leading up to October 2023, we, I think that municipal solid waste to power was not cut out for me and my startup. Okay. Because I'm not, I don't have a large company or corporations to back me up. So that's one. And then when I found out about methanol and its trajectory to be it is now the leading alternative fuel for maritime, for shipping, for container ships, especially from Europe. So we talk about Indo-Europe, right? Those in Europe, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep.
Like building the bridge, right?
Exactly.
Connecting, yeah.
Exactly. So this is building the bridge. Oh, in fact, fun fact, we actually had applied for a grant together with a European company. So
Okay.
already like European Indo bridge, they already connected, right?
There's already collaboration.
Yes, correct. Correct. So basically, when we found out about methanol, we wanted to, okay, there's a good opportunity, good market in Singapore, right? One of the largest shipping hub in Southeast Asia and also in the world. In fact, I think, it is one of the largest bunkering port in the world. And we were looking for different kind of feedstock. We knew that municipal solid waste, there are heaps in Indonesia. Unfortunately, unlike Europe or Western nations, their wastes are of higher calorific value. Indonesia has more organic, right? Because there's more food there, probably due to economic reasons.
Yeah. Okay.
So we wanted to look at different feedstocks. So we look at ISCCEU, which is again a European standards for, it stands for International Sustainability Certification, something.
Okay.
Yeah, international compliance certification or some carbon certification.
Yeah.
So we look at their materials list. There was a whole bunch of lists, items, sorry, and one of it is Husk. So then let's try Husk. And where can we get the Husk from, right? It can be rice husk, coconut husk, can be many different types of Husk.
Yeah.
So I went to this ICC organization under the UN Charter, International Coconut Community.
Okay.
And then I had a map. Okay, there's a lot of coconuts everywhere. And where's the most dense?
Yeah.
And this place I've literally never heard of this place before. Indragiri Hilir. So like
That's very special, yeah.
in Hill is short for. So it's a regency in Riau, right? So there's a lot of coconuts there, and they peel the husk, throw or burn the husk, and then the husk coconuts goes to the food processor. So we know there's feedstock, we know there's market. So how can we make this project work? We need to find the technology, because KVA is not a technology company. We don't develop a technology from scratch.
Okay.
It will take, as you know, years and years and years and decades to do that. So that's why we, like I said, we partner up with a European company from Italy. Yeah. So we basically are taking this husk from Riau. We want to process it in Batam. We process it in Batam to make methanol, and then methanol to the ship direct from our side using a partner company. We have signed an offtake MOU with this partner company, Singaporean-based bunker trader. So they can take the fuel from our side and they can direct go to a ship on Singapore waters, in Singapore waters. Yeah, to do this bunkering operations. So that's a gist of the project. Probably in terms of the technology and the scale, very quickly, right? 240,000 ton of husk we need, which is about 700 tons a day. It will produce about 108,000 ton of green methanol, and the technology is basically gasification. If you imagine combustion, right, it is in excess of oxygen. So you fully convert your carbonaceous material to CO2. In this instance, because it's gasification in partial oxygen, so partial oxidation, what you get is CO and hydrogen gas. And then the second stage is methanol synthesis to convert the gaseous CO and H2 into methanol. So that's a gist of the technology.
Okay, very interesting. And maybe this would be also interesting for the audience, for people listening now to the podcast. So normally, if the the how to say the coconut, right? Yep. And the coconuts, I mean the rest from the coconut, it would be not processed like you are aiming to do so, right? Yeah. So what would actually happen? Is it something like how can I imagine this, or how can people imagine it? Is it, maybe you could also share more about it, with the rest of the coconut.
Okay. So maybe we will start from when they harvest the coconuts, right? Start from the step one. So when when these people harvest the coconut from the tree, it will drop onto the land, right? And they will float it along canals, because they call this place, uh, you know, hamparan kelapa terbesar. So the largest coconut fields in the world, right? So then mostly they have canals. So when they float the coconut on the canals, they will eventually meet the river bodies, right? So when they meet the river bodies, they will fish them out or take them out. That's when they dehusk them. So when I say dehusk, they kupas, they take the outer husk, fluffy husk out, and they spill it off, then leave behind the hard shell and everything internally inside. So then they transport that to their food processors, right? So then the husk, what do they do to them? They either throw it onto the river bodies, they leave it on the land, right? Or they burn it, because they need space to work, to do the next dehusking operations. Otherwise, you got piles and piles and piles of husk. So that's what they've been doing. There is, however, as you know, or as many people would have known as well, that in India, Philippines, and Indonesia, these three countries are the three largest coconut producing nations. And coconut husk can be used for cocoa fiber and cocoa pit. Cocoa pit for soil replacement, or cocoa fiber for ropes, floor mats. Even in Germany, I heard well, not I heard, this has been done for many years, to use this fiber as a material for luxury car seats material, and also even for mattresses.
Okay. Oh wow, very very interesting. Okay, okay. I also could imagine, right, for what you have already shared so far. So logistic might be also challenging, to say really from this stage. Okay, you have found now, let's say the source or the potential supply itself, right, for the coconuts, that you can process it for your project. But logistics, yeah, because if it is maybe in a remoted area, right, totally remoted, so this might be also a factor. Is it like and the thing like how could this be handled actually, right?
Of course. So you are correct. It is a challenge, and it is also an opportunity, and it is also where our project has this edge in being able to deliver high socio-economic impact to rural communities. We call it 3 T's, right? In Indonesia, tertinggal, terdepan, dan terluar. So the most disadvantaged, the outermost, and the most frontier communities. So in terms of logistic, like I said, they have been selling the Husk coconuts for many decades. There is a company there that produces coconut milk, very famous. I won't say the name. I think a lot of people would know. Basically, the Husk coconuts, their transportation is it's already been established. So we like to use the same logistical routes. So basically, in that sense, we are doubling their work, right? Well, at the moment, we're only using 240,000 ton. If we are using all of it, we are creating more jobs, more opportunities, more employment, more, we're injecting capital into the local economies. So logistic, yes, it is a challenge. At the moment, our strategy is to have between 1 to 3 local companies in each kecamatan, in each sub-district. Then they would be delivering from those dehusking stations where the canal meet the rivers. And then they will take them into our central collection center. We will plan to have, at the moment, one first in the middle, in central to the 6 northern kecamatan. And then from that point, we'll barge it across to Batam. I would say I think of the calf, we need about 11 barges a month. So about 20,000 ton. So each barge about 3,000 ton, roughly. More or less.
This is seems a lot, right?
Yeah.
Definitely a lot,
A lot, yeah.
Okay, okay. And let's say if we would put your project into stages, like where are you really at the moment for this project? Is it like still stage 1, stage 2, stage 3? Like how people can imagine the
What I was thinking stage 1, stage 2, I was thinking about cancer. but it's not cancer, okay? So basically, you can call it that way. What we term it in
let's call it even phases, phases.
no, you're right, in terms of funding stage, I would say we have 2 funding stages. In terms of development stage, we have maybe several, 3 or 4. We are basically, in terms of development stage, we are still in the first early, I wouldn't say conceptual, we are beyond concept. I would call it pre-FEED, pre-front-end engineering design. For those of you who might not be familiar with the term, is when you do a concept, you do a feasibility, and then you do your engineering design, where you buy the land, you do your layout, you do your piping, your everything, your site layout, permitting, and then you got your investment or the fund ready for your first first groundbreaking ceremony, and then you do your construction, do your commissioning, and then that's when your plant officially operates, right? So we are, I would say, in the early days, but we are not at day zero. So we are way beyond concept. We are requiring support from corporations to fund this remaining of the development stage. I will call it development. And then once we got the development done, we will need what we call it final investment decision. Right? Once we got the final investment decision, then we will do that groundbreaking ceremony for the construction, commissioning, and then what we call COD, commercial operational date. So we are at the pre-FEED stage in terms of the project. In terms of funding, we are in stage 1. We are looking for about 26 million US dollars. And then stage 2, we are looking about 30% equity of the total capex, close to $500 million. And then the remaining from project financing, obviously. So, and then once we hit the FID, we'll do the construction.
very interesting. I mean, obviously, what I can see, what I can see, there's already a lot of progress, from where you have started, from where you are now. I mean, this only works, right? With you need to be consistent, like that. You got also along the way so many declines, and of course, yeah. But I think this is normal, yeah. Yeah, not to say not to give up. So do you have your goal, right? You always had your end target, your goal in mind, and this is impressive. Really, this is really fantastic, and so I think this makes it maybe also then a bit challenging to say there is already a timeline for the project because there are some, how to say, maybe some dependencies on it. Yeah, of course, when the project should be actually up and running.
Yes, so I would say that the IMO's decision, International Maritime Organization decision, back in October last year, to defer the what they term it as NZF, Net Zero Framework, which is basically a regulations to, I wouldn't call it penalize, but to get contributions from those companies who are not moving. We call about, we talk about adaptability earlier, right? So if for those who doesn't want to change and adapt to a better version of the company in terms of its operations, they are getting, the regulation will get contributions from them, and then those who adapts and change, they get rewarded. Yeah, so it's basically, in short, like similar to carbon tax, essentially. And because they got deferred, we, a lot of I think a lot of parties sort of like wait and see. But in terms of the overall timeline, we may get, I think I believe we have not been shifted too much, right? So we are still targeting early 2030 for COD. So, depending on when we get the first investment, we are in discussion with a number of corporations, as you know. So basically, once we got the investment, we do the pre-feed, complete the pre-feed, the feed, and then the construction. Okay. 2.5 years construction. We should be getting early 2030.
2030. So this is still a long way. Exactly, this is still a very long way, but I mean, so far what you have already shared now. Yeah. So there are so many factors to consider, like, and that's why it takes time, right? It is actually not like a sprint. It is actually like a marathon. Say it is more like a marathon, right? Yeah. And yeah, so this is definitely yeah, as I said, something very, very impressive, Billy. Yeah, so well understood. You look also for collaboration. Also, maybe to summarize this for some investors. And what would be also interesting, maybe for the audience as well, right, of this episode. So let's say, well understood. You get your feedstock, your supply, right, from a remote area, which is near to Singapore, like, because you have the proximity to Singapore, and from there you can do the shipments and everything. But shipments is it like export can be to any kind of countries, but also maybe how about the domestic, like the domestic market.
Say shipment, just like when we buy food, for example, on Gojek, you're not gonna get something from Bekasi. So yeah. So same thing. I think our main target still shipping companies, European shipping companies. Okay. Calling at the port of Singapore for when they are docking to unload, or while they are waiting, we can refuel them. So that's definitely number one market for us. And at the moment, from what I know, some of these bunkering companies at the moment, they're getting their fuel from from somewhere in China, about 5,000 kilometers away. For us, it's about 50 kilometers. So it's like manifold less than their current supplier. Okay. So in terms of domestic, we talk about biodiesel, right? Biodiesel production actually needs methanol as one of its raw materials. And methanol can be used for paint manufacture, for formaldehydes, for glue, for olefins for plastics. So olefins for plastic. So a lot of uses, even for, I think, pharma as well. Okay. Yeah, and for cleaning. Yeah. So it's very diverse, I would say, applications that methanol can be used for. and luckily there's no domestic market obligations at the moment, so we don't have to sell to domestic, and there's no market at the moment because it's all going to be driven by costs, right? So, and who ends up paying for those additional costs? The consumers.
Yeah.
So at the moment we don't foresee any domestic market at the moment.
Okay, okay. But as you were also sharing now, or that's what I understood now from you, Willie. So actually, the so-called end product itself, right? Yep. Can be used for either for different use cases, right? So do you have also in mind to say maybe start with the like with the shipments first, and then maybe how to say spread out or use your end product for other applications as well?
You know, there is actually a pathway. We call it M to J. So apart from biodiesel production, pharma, and all the other kind of stuff, there is I'm not too sure if it's already been ASTM approved. American Testing and Measurement Society, ASTM, ASTA, something like that. This is American standard for testing and measurement. That there is a standard being developed for methanol to be used for jet, so they can upgrade methanol to become jet fuel, become synthetic SPK, synthetic paraffinic kerosene, something like that. Yeah. So that's one. In terms of other use cases, I think at the moment green methanol will be only for marine. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Actually, there is one. We spoke. He's a German company. Yeah, I remember BASF. Um, we spoke to them, and they are, I would say, they are not paying for this conversation, so I'm not promoting them, but they are one of the leading chemical company, and they're looking to get voluntary market to help decarbonize the methanol in the chemical industry. So that's also a potential use case, but definitely not domestic for now.
And maybe also something at a later stage then, right? Okay. Okay. So the target is really to say, let's get this project, let's make this project happen first, right? And then maybe expand into some other areas as well, right? But there is still a bit to go, and definitely collaborations. Collaborations would help. I mean, you gained there already, luckily, some partners, yeah, but still looking for some additional partners. If this is correct to understand. Yep, that's correct. So maybe coming now also to the point to say like, okay, if someone has listened today to this podcast episode, yep, and finds what you are doing, you are into it, give your company like company for the renewable energy. Yep. So how can people actually reach out to you? Easy. Yes. I mean, is it via website or like
We actually recently, I should have done this earlier, but we actually recently sign up for Instagram account, right? So you can find us on Instagram, KVA_ID, right? But if not, you can look for us on our website, www.kva-id. So the kva-id.com. So that's our website. Or if you want to email me, wsalim@kva-id.com. So you can type it up, on the comments.
and maybe to be a bit more precise on that. So like for what kind of collaborations you're looking for? I understood it can be an investor, but are there also some other partners, partnerships that could be complementary?
Sure. So I think there are a few things that we have sort of have an exclusive agreement with, and we will uphold that agreement. The last thing we need is a tarnished reputation, right? So we have signed, a few MOUs, obviously, and we are about, we are very close to having an exclusive agreement. I think we in the coming days. with an Italian company whom, like I said to you, we have applied for a grant with. So that's that. So I would say, apart from anchor investors, from the financing point of view, we can still we are still open for an EPC company who can wrap up the technology and the delivery of the project. We are still open to other vendors. Obviously, not at this stage. And I would say, like life cycle analysis providers. Uh, Recently, we are looking at, because we are playing for grants, right? And there's, like I said, a lot of very high socio-economic impacts. So we have recently approached a few firms to help us with assessing social impacts, and that's not our core expertise. Yeah, so they call about what logical framework, theory of change, some things that I've never heard before. So those are the few things that we can work together on.
Great to hear, right? Being a bit more specific, so that people know for what kind of partnership you're looking for, right? So very very interesting. Yeah, this journey, Willy. You gained so many experiences once again. This is really immersive. So there might be some people out there thinking like, oh wow, okay, from where everything has started, from there you are now, right? So there might be some things they might also can take for their whole life. So many things really for having you today, right? And yet you're really on an exciting journey itself. So there is definitely, I'm quite certain we will hear much more from you and your company in the near future. Thank you. Because this is definitely something that is needed to make the planet Earth actually a better place itself. So maybe the last question, and this is actually a question like more towards any advices, like for someone listening now to this podcast, and the European Indo Bridge. So is there any advice for life you could give someone?
Any advice? I wouldn't say I know everything, right? but I always remember these two pyramids, right? One is made by Maslow hierarchy. I think everybody knows it. If not, it's just a pyramid with 5 levels: physiological needs, safety, love and belonging, self-esteem, and then self-actualization. So you can look it up on Google. So this is the first pyramid. The second pyramid, I call it win it. This is something that I came up with, right? Rightly or wrongly, it's something that I thought of when I was still in Australia, and I was thinking to myself, what is the formula for success, right? I don't think you can find this anywhere else. If you did, then maybe it's my copyright. It's from me. I don't think there's anyone who wrote this. I put this on LinkedIn many months ago, a long time ago. So we need, basically, the first layer is knowledge, second layer is perseverance, third layer vision. Now the upper twomost layer is the most difficult, I think, to remain humble, humility, and the uppermost layer is generosity. So I think if you can achieve all that, right, regardless of where you are in terms of your challenges, instead of how where you are in financially, and how advanced you are in finding solutions for your different kinds of challenges, right? I want to say problems, challenges, right? I think that you come out at the end of it
as a better person. Thank you so much for sharing this, your advice, and I believe there are some people out there and could make use of this.
Thank you, Timo. Thank you very much for your time. Very happy to be here.